gonna start documenting my progression into becoming an athlete, becoming an athletic spectacle for all to see. Why what made me start running? So I think of, what was it? Actually 2019. Is that like, okay, so 2019 was like a really tough year for me, business wise, just mentally. I was in a business. Well, I was working in my business, and I really got to a point where I started to hate my business. I started to just kind of, every day I woke up and I just felt like there was no direction. I felt like I had no purpose. I felt like, man, I just felt like I was going nowhere. 2019 was a really rough year. I knew that I had to start transitioning out of my business. I was doing my business, and I was like working my business. Like, I was like, every day it was just me. I mean, it was fine. I mean, it's still, it paid the bills and everything like that, but it just wasn't, it wasn't a fulfilling endeavor for me. It wasn't a fulfilling endeavor for me, so I knew that, like, I had to make a change, but I wanted to do something that, like, I love. Like, everybody always says, wow, this song is crazy. I wanted to do something that I love to do. So everybody says, like, hey, do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life, and all of these great quotes and stuff like that. So but I really didn't know what I wanted to do. So fast forward, I was listening to a few podcasts, and I was listening to a few podcasts. I was reading books, and a lot of podcasts. Well, a lot of them, the podcasts that I was listening to is usually self-help. Like, I fell in love with, like, self-help and self-help books, and like, information involving self-help. Like, I read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, and I don't know, that book just kind of gave me like some personal, like you can fix yourself. That after I read that book, I read Think and Grow Rich, and these two books pretty much, I mean, I still go back to this day, but those two books I still use on my personal growth journey, along with a lot of other books that I use now, but those are two of the books that I really like continuously use. But yeah, so I started to get involved in personal development, growth, and stuff like that. So one of the podcasts that I was listening to, they had a guy on there, and he was talking about how much mental clarity he has by running. And Like, before I started running, I played high school football, and like running was like a punishment. Like, if you missed your assignment, you had to run. If you at the end of the practice you ran, at the beginning of practice you ran, and it never was an enjoyable feeling. Like, it was always like, it was just a punishment. It was like, you do something wrong, punishment, run, go run a lap or something like that. So I was introduced to running in a way of doing something when I did something wrong, or when a team did something wrong or something like that. So I never looked at running as something that I would enjoy, or something that I would go to as much as I do now. So the one day I was like, man, you know what? I'm gonna pick up and I'm gonna just go ahead for a run. So what I did was I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna go for a run. So what I did was I got on a treadmill. So my first run was like on a treadmill. My first mile. My first mile was on the treadmill, and I remember like thinking to myself, like, man, how am I gonna get past a mile? How am I gonna run a mile? Like, a mile was like, that was a thing. Like, that was like an accomplishment at some point. And still, every time I run a mile, I still am like, I can't believe I ran a mile. But for me at that point, running a mile was like, it was just impossible. So I got on there, and I just remember thinking, like, how can I mentally get an edge on myself, or how can I get an edge on myself to make myself run? So I remember thinking to myself, if your family was in danger and you had to run this mile, could you do it? And so I started off slow, and it was rough. I think it took me about 26 minutes to run that mile, to be honest with you. Like, it was an ordeal. But I did it. What I didn't think I would accomplish from it is that it definitely alleviated some of the stresses that I was going through at the moment. So I took that stress. So I took that, and I actually started using it in my daily life. Like, I always went to the gym, so I started this kind of fitness journey in 2018. I mean, I've always went to the gym, but my goal was like to lose weight. So I went to the gym regularly, but running was a different thing. Like, physically pushing myself was different. So one thing that, like I said, it helped me alleviate so much stress, and it helped me think clearer, and it made me realize that I usually got to a point when things got hard in my business and life, and and everything that I did, I usually got to a point where things got hard and I kind of found a way out. I never really pushed through to my goals. I always kind of settled for them. So things will still work out, but they didn't work out the way I wanted them to. But I just kind of was satisfied with how things turned out. So yeah, running helped me in that aspect of kind of pushing through, because when you're on mile 5 or mile, even mile 1, there's times where your brain kind of stops and it's like, hey, you can get off, you can stop, and no one will know. But when you transfer that way of thinking to life, and understanding that when times get hard, you can still push through. I think that's when you know, you're able to push through and get the results that you want, not the results that just, you know, come with, you know, just being a human, or just kind of letting life hand you out this card. So that's my story on starting the run. Yeah, so that was like day one of just trying to get a mile in. So that was, yeah, that was, thinking back on it, it was one of the most challenging times. But now thinking back, it was like, wow, you know, look how far I've come. But I still have challenges, but I have a tool set to go to, and this is one of the ways that I'm you know, becoming better as a human, becoming better as an athlete, becoming better as a husband, a son, father. You know, there's a lot of lessons that you can learn by, you know, running, and, you know, just doing things in your off time that are challenging, because most of us go to work. Most of us, you know, we have all of these other things that we do on a daily basis, and we're only using our brain sometimes to just do, you know, simple tasks or do work tasks. But when you combine those with physical tasks that require your mental and your body to kind of work as one unit, you find so much peace in that, and you find so much strength in it as well. So yeah, subscribe to the channel, look for more content, and share, and we'll be back with more stories.